Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunatu Sahaviryam Haravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Together we'll chant chapter 13, verses 21 to 30 of the Bhagavad Gita.
कार्यकारणकर्तृत्वे हेतुः प्रकृतिरुच्यते पुरुषः सुखदुःखानां भोक्तृत्वे हेतुरुच्यते पुरुषः प्रकृतिस्थो हि भुङ्क्ते प्रकृतिजान् गुणान् कारणं गुणसङ्गोऽस्य सदसद्यो निजन्मसु उपद्रष्टानुमन्ता च भर्ता भोक्ता महेश्वरः परमात्मेति चाप्युक्तः देहेऽस्मिन् पुरुषः परः य एवं वेत्ति पुरुषं प्रकृतिं च गुणैः सह सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि न स भूयोऽभिजायते ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानमात्मना अन्ये साङ्ख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्तः श्रुत्वान्येभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणाः यावत् सञ्जायते किञ्चित् सत्त्वं स्थावरजङ्गमम् क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञसंयोगात् तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ समं सर्वेषु भूतेषु तिष्ठन्तं परमेश्वरम् विनश्यत्स्व विनश्यन्तम् यः पश्यति स पश्यति समं पश्यन् हि सर्वत्र समवस्थितमीश्वरम् न हि नस्त्यात्मनात्मानम् ततो याति परां गतिम् प्रकृत्यैव च कर्माणि क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः यः पश्यति तथात्मानम् अकर्तारं स पश्यति.
We were studying the 27th and 28th verses. 27 said that every being that you see is a combination of spirit and matter. I mean, it's like almost boring, right? To remain, okay, Baba understood. But understood means what? It's a very big thing in life. Every being is a combination of spiritual matter. And he who is able to see the spirit in every being, he is the person of realization of greatness, of caliber, of character, of spiritual growth. So first, 27 said every being is a combination of these two. 28, sorry, 27 said this. And 28 said that he was able to see that it is the Supreme Lord everywhere, abiding equally in all beings as the imperishable among the perishable. Every aspect of a person changes, but the one aspect that stays exactly the same is his divinity. Can we tune into that? Can we gain some appreciation? There are people who will please us. There are people who will displease us. Naturally, no? They have desires, we have desires. Sometimes these desires will, what should I say, be compatible to one another. Sometimes these desires will not be compatible to one another. We will take a stance. Oh, I am right, you are wrong. Why am I more divine than you are? Why am I taking these stances? And yet I have to live my life according to my understanding. And that person has to live their life according to their understanding. That is why they say, Karamana ki gati nyari. What is right action? Different for different people. Dharma is different for different people. You live by your dharma, I live by my dharma, and we will both be people of character. Even if we be on opposite sides of the fence. Let us say there are two competitors, right? Whatever. Hindustan Lever or whatever. Lever Brothers is competing with P&G for some market share. And there is a competition on. If the P&G fellow does his dharma and the Lever's fellow does his dharma, they're in competition, but they can still appreciate and respect each other. Just like in any sport, right? Just because you're in a sport, or just because you can respect your opponent doesn't mean you give up points to him. You play your game to the very best of your ability. And the other fellow will play his game to the best of his ability. And then after the game, you shake hands and go home as friends. Because that's the game you all decided to play. So how does that happen? You're able to see something more permanent than just the impermanence of the things that are going on. That's what he's talking about. He's able to see the imperishable in the perishable. So two friends are playing a tennis match. Do they concede points to each other? Do they say, okay, you're my friend, you take this point? Do you do things like that? So similarly in the world, you love everybody, but you don't concede any points. You do your dharma. The other person will do his dharma. And we will do the best we can, all of us. And we will all rise. We will all grow. We need not have an opinion on other people's actions. Let them play their game their way. We will play our game our way. So he who sees the Supreme Lord abiding equally in all beings, as the imperishable among the perishable. He who sees it. Sees it. If you see it, you see it. If you don't see it, you don't see it. What can anyone say? Can you convince a child that, oh, teenage joys are such fun? Can you convince any child that, oh, it's so wonderful to be a teenager? Can you convince any teenager that it's so wonderful to be an adult? And can you convince any adult that it's so wonderful to be a spiritually developed person? Nobody is going to convince anybody. He who sees it, sees it. If you see it, function according to it. If you don't see it, function according to what you do see. Each one, dharma can only be in accordance to what they see. They can't have dharma apart from it. So you can have an understanding of the totality and yet continue to be very individualistic. This is a dilemma that many people often have. And all of us will definitely also face it. We are part of the whole, and yet we are an individual. We're part of society, we're part of the country, we're part of the family, and yet we are an individual. So that's the sort of understanding you get at all times. That you function as an individual, but you understand the whole. You understand your relationship with the whole. He who sees the Supreme Lord abiding equally in all beings as the imperishable among the perishable. Do you see the bigger picture as you are executing your part of it? That's what we have to do. Okay, so now let us see what happens to this person who lives according to verse 28. Shall we continue? Anybody has any questions so far? Bhagwati, are you new to the class? I seem to be seeing you for the first time. First day? Okay.
Yes, Hari Om.
Hari Om. So good. Welcome to the class. As you, have you been listening to other Vedanta classes?
Yes.
So you may have heard this on YouTube, so you know you're free to ask any questions if something is not clear.
Yes.
And don't worry.
I have a question.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to know the difference between objectivity and being a witness. Being objective and being a witness.
It depends on how you're using the words. In some sense, both are the same. When you're being objective in life, you are being a witness. That means you are not getting carried away with the various parts. Both are synonymous terms in one usage. In another usage, when we say be objective, be sakshi, be witness, they're all the same thing. But when we say that some usage like scientists are people who are in science, they're objective scientists. Those who are in Vedanta are subjective scientists. So in that usage, objective means pertaining to the objects of the world. But I don't know which usage you are referring to.
I'm referring to Advaita Vedanta.
Advaita Vedanta uses both. Objective world.
Acha.
So two uses.
But meaning is the same?
No. Two uses.
Okay.
Word can have two meanings, right?
Yeah.
Objective means about the object. Okay. So when you're referring to the world, you can say it's very objective because it is pertaining to the world. It's pertaining to the object. That's one usage. The other usage is we should become objective. That means we should have sakshi bhav. So there are two different meanings of this term.
Means we need to be objective to the object world.
And to ourselves.
With respect to ourselves, we have to be the witness.
Same thing. You have to be a witness. Okay, just as the word story. You know the word story in the English language? What does it mean?
Story. Story is a story.
When it comes to philosophy, everything gets confusing. Story. What does the word story mean? Kahani.
Kahani, yeah.
Kahani, okay. So the word story means kahani. Now suppose I tell you, Bhagwati, I live on the third story. तो मैं कुछ कहानी बता रही हूँ क्या? What do I mean by the word story now?
Third floor.
Third floor, right? So one word can have two meanings. Right? So similarly, the word objective has two meanings. These two meanings
depending on the context.
Yes, correct. And these two meanings have nothing to do with each other. Okay. In one word, in one sense, it means about the object, as in the world. In the other sense, it means Sakshi.
Oh.
Two different meanings.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else has anything so far? What is this? Right. So shall we go to verse 29? Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram nahi nastyatmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram nahi nastyatmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. Tato yati param gatim. Then yati goes param gatim, to the supreme goal. So remember what he said? First he told us everybody is a combination of spirit and matter. Right? That was verse 27. 28 says, when you can see this, when you can see the self, the imperishable in each one at all times, then you understood the previous verse. How do you know you understood the previous verse? Samam pashyati. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra. You see the same everywhere. Sama. Sama means same. Avastitam. Avastitam means sthita, wahan hai. Ishwaram. You see the same Lord everywhere, whether you see a cow or a tiger. You see a oak tree or a mosquito. You see your friend or you see somebody you don't like. Samam pashyanti sarvatra. He is the same everywhere. What is he referring to? Once you understand that there's a divinity in each being, how do you know you've understood this? You feel a sense of identification with everything and everybody. Just like when you have grown up, you become an adult and you see the children doing all sorts of things. You understand that they are doing nonsense things, and yet you feel a great deal of affection for them. You look at it and you laugh. You find it all very funny, especially when they are doing nakra, especially when they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. They will also look here and there. कि कोई देख रहा है क्या मुझे? They will look and then they will quietly go and do that thing. Exactly how the humans function, how adult humans function. If you can love the child who is doing all this nakra, and then he'll go and eat some sweet he's not supposed to eat, then you ask him, did you eat it? Then, no, I never eat sweets. I don't even like sweets. Exactly how adult humans function. Everything becomes a matter of identification, humor, love, exactly how you look at children. Deepraj. Ishvara is equal to Brahman. Yes, Ishvara is equal to Brahman. But he's using the term Ishvara here. Ish comes from the term, Ish means desirable. And Ishvara means Lord. So it comes from the root, which means desirable, light. So it's referring to the fact that you are loving everybody. Like it is Ish, it is the Lord, it is the beloved of your heart. You're loving the people you're seeing. So he doesn't use the word Brahman because Brahman makes you think boring, something desirable to you. It's like you're feeling the presence of divinity. You're able to appreciate the fact that I'm in the presence of God. So it is ish, it is dear, it is personal to you. It's not a general thing. FTS always refers to Mahesh as Sant Mahesh. You know why he refers to him as Sant Mahesh? Because Mahesh has made one statement that is constantly repeated over here. You know what his statement is? It's very easy to love the whole world. It's difficult to love your spouse. This statement, everybody has appreciated so much that he has been elevated to Sant Mahesh.
I don't know. I didn't say that. I think
Did say that, and you have been quoted and misquoted and fiercely quoted in many, many discussions.
my view is there should be no marriage actually. So it just preempts the whole problem.
Okay, so chalo, whatever else you want to now put. The loving the person living in your house is difficult. Loving the whole world is very easy. That's your view, right, Mahesh? That's what you have mentioned.
No, that's a general view. I'm not mine. I mean, that's an obvious thing actually. So
Oh, see,
I
that's his
prefer
view.
subtlety.
He says this all the time. So he's Sant Mahesh. Because it is difficult. Go and love the person you're living with. Go love your mother-in-law first. Not I love the whole world. What love the whole world? You love your mother-in-law first. You love the neighbor who's throwing water into your house. Then talk. Not really funny. You live in these buildings, they're expensive um, flats, and they spend a fortune painting the building. I don't know if you all are aware of Mumbai. All the buildings look terrible. And the reason they look terrible is because we are next to the sea. So every building looks horrible. If you go to Delhi, everything looks so pretty. You come to Mumbai and it all looks horrible. So some societies take care and they paint it a little more frequently so that it doesn't look so horrible. And that's a very expensive thing, right? It goes into crores and crores. Who's paying those crores and crores? The people who live in the building. Okay, having paid so much money, many, many thousands each one have had to pay, many thousands and lakhs they've had to pay so that their buildings can get painted. And then what do? They sweep water out of their house. They put plants over there and have the water drip so that you can see all those lines. Now, when such a neighbor you have who is pouring all that water into your house and you can love that person, then you talk. Because your money has been wasted, your time has been wasted in getting all this done, and your house is now getting spoiled. So it's not easy. It's not easy loving the people who we have to deal with. It's certainly not easy loving your spouse or anybody you have to live with. It's all very easy loving somebody far away. So, Deep Raj, you remember where we were, right? Ish. Ish is the root for like, desirable. So, it is desirable to you. Just like a child who is doing nonsense. Naughty children are loved most, even though they are naughty, because we find the whole thing so funny. Even when you're firing the child, in your heart you feel nothing because this guy is like this. That affection is what he's trying to bring about. If he says Brahman, then it's a poem, right? So he has to bring about that feeling in you. He can't just say Brahman and get away with it, or Atman and get away with it. He's trying to show you that this is your Ishta Devata, sort of what you love. Okay, Momita. Mahesh's objective view of a subjective experience. Yes, correct. Okay. His objective view of a subjective experience. Correct. Bharat?
Yeah, so the person of knowledge here has both the views, right? I mean, the self functioning equally with everyone, as well as cause and effect and nature functioning of every individual.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that makes him objective.
that's right.
Okay, thank you.
If he sees only one, he's become subjective. So he's able to feel this great deal of affection for people who are doing nonsensical things. He's able to feel that. Now, why is he able to feel that? Because he understands this is the Lord. Just like sometimes when you go to, say, a movie, one of the, nowadays, of course, I don't see them, so my example is a little outdated. But one of the most appreciated actors in olden times was Pran. You remember Pran? I don't know, Jayashree, were you even born when he was acting
The
in
villain. He was a famous
The
villain.
villain.
Yes. He was one of the most appreciated actors. But every role he played was horrible. Deepraj, you know Pran? No, before your time, okay. So can you appreciate the villainy that he has got?
Janki ji, that famous Kawali, Yari hai man mera, yar
But in
meri
that
ji.
movie, he was a good guy. But in the
Oh yeah, but that is actor. That was actor.
yeah, he was a good guy, right? Or Amjad Khan. Remember Amjad Khan in Sholay? Kitne log the, and all sorts of things went on. And he reached stardom because of he was such a negative fellow he was. Can you appreciate the villainy of the villain? Can you appreciate the foolishness of the foolish? Can you love them in spite of them, not because of them? Jay Shri, when you can love all the people who are currently interrupting your path towards planting 1,000 trees. Jayashree, poor thing, she has to deal with villagers. Villagers are not trained in any, sort of discipline. So she has been chasing up, trying to get trees, trying to get the whatever pits dug, and somebody sends her on one track, somebody sends her on another track. She's going crazy with them. Now, can she love these people in spite of the fact that they are interrupting her very noble venture of planting 1,000 trees? Now, as you grow in life, as you develop in life, you're able to look beyond the immediate. And you do this already. Don't think that this is some later stage. You are already doing it. You know where you do it? You do it with your own family. However much your family irritates you, you're able to look beyond it. Your son irritates you, even you are feeling irritated with him. You're able to look beyond it and remember that he's your son. And because he's your son, what is that? So khoon maaf. So khoon maaf, right? So you're able to do that. Even today, you're able to do that. It's not like one day you will do that. Today also, you're looking beyond the immediate. Today also, you're doing this. And the big question is, can you stretch this a little more? It's not something we don't do. It is something we already do. But now we have to stretch it all the way up to divinity. We will do it with our friends. We will do it with our family. Now, how much can we stretch this? Until you can do it with every single person. So he says, seeing the same Lord dwelling equally everywhere, he does not destroy the self by the self. Now, destroy the self by the self. What to say about this? So many ways, because it's poetry, it has got layers and layers of meanings. The first way we destroy the self by the self is we deny our own identity. I am the self, and I'm denying this. I am all knowledge, all power, all bliss, and I'm denying it. I've destroyed myself by myself. So, at the highest level, it is an appreciation of how we have reduced the infinite to this finite being. How did we do this? How did we come so far away from what we really are? We have reduced the infinite to a finite being. Amazing, right? The destruction of the self by the self. Who has done it? So somebody done it to you? No. You've done it to yourself. That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is we are constantly following the mind. We do what we feel like. We jump from thing to thing and tongue. We are doing all the time. We don't let our intellect direct our actions and thereby ruin ourselves by ourselves. We ruin ourselves in every way. Our projects are ruined because we don't think them through. Our relationships are ruined because we will not think before opening your mouth. Every bit of it we are managing to reduce from its glory to something absurd. If you see the same Lord dwelling everywhere, if you see the bigger picture, the more permanent thing, such a person, he says, does not destroy the self by the self. He doesn't make the all-powerful into a victim. Can you imagine all-powerful becoming a victim? He doesn't make the all-knowledgeable into a confused being. He doesn't make the all-loving, means identified with all, into like, I love 2-3 people. Kahan se kahun? He doesn't make the infinite treasure into this flimsy, futile wealth that we have. So at all levels of the personality, we destroy the self by the self. So that's what he said. If you see the same Lord dwelling, now if you're finding that too much to take, okay, forget Lord. As much as you can expand the vision. If we expand the vision that much, we do not destroy ourselves by ourselves. But we have to see beyond the immediate for that. If you don't see beyond the immediate, nobody and nothing can help. And for each one of us, the immediate is something. Sometimes it's just this moment. Now I want to say something. Now I want to do something. Now I want to something. Just this moment. I want to eat this right now. I want to talk to this person right now. It's the immediate is just this moment. For some people, the immediate could be 1 year away. But they understand that as immediate. Some people can think 5 years. But please understand that's also the immediate. If you're looking at your life, can you look at your whole lifespan? So what is the immediate and what is the permanent? That discrimination is by each one's intellect individually. Now there's a buffet spread in front of you. You take whichever one works for you. So the moment you can see beyond, okay, like some people, even in karma, they'll come to me and say, let us do this. And then I have to say, okay, if we do this, what will happen next? Not thought what will happen next. Let's do this. Okay, what's next? So this capacity to go beyond the immediate in all things, whether it is a conversation with my spouse, whether it is something in my work arena, whether it is my health. Let me eat this gulab jamun right now. In all things, there is an immediate and there is a longer view. So the longer my long view is, the more
I don't destroy the self.
very good. Excellent. I do not destroy the self by the self. He holds this view throughout. Remember in chapter 5, he said, Uddharedat atmanat atmanam. Raise yourself by yourself. So you alone are your friend and you alone are your enemy.
Continue to chapter 6.
Sorry, somebody said something? Momita. Why does the verse use a negative, does not destroy, instead of a positive, venerates the self? Because it's more correct, right? I mean, between these two options, does not destroy the self, is more correct because it is what you already are. Venerates means it's something else which I am respecting. Not destroy myself is I am already the all-knowing, I'm already the all-loving, I'm already the all-powerful, I'm already the all-rich. And I'm not reducing this. I'm staying with my stage. Okay. It's not like I'm getting something. It's just that I'm not wrecking what I have. So, seeing indeed the same Lord dwelling equally everywhere, he does not destroy the self by the self. And if you don't do that, what is the consequence? Tato yati param gatim. And so he reaches the ultimate goal. But every time, step by step, doing what you think is right. And how did you know this was right? How did you know it was right? What happened?
You knew it was right because you were treating it the same way as you would be treating, or looking at it the same way as you would if it was your child, or in the same objective, within an objective way.
Okay, that's a partial answer. What is the full answer? You're close, but
Use our intellect. We are doing the best. We did the best we could, and try to see their point of view as well.
Okay, but that's just part of it because that is only in a relationship. But that doesn't cover everything, right? What is it that you're seeing because of which you're able to handle every aspect of
The
life?
fact that the Lord also resides in them the same way, the divinity in all of them, the spirit that everything has the same spirit.
Right, but you're still in
Oneness.
relationships only.
Okay.
That doesn't tell me how to take my work decision well. For instance,
You remain the same in different situations, whether it's good or bad. You samatva, you have.
what were you people doing? You have a bad teacher, is it? Because nobody seemed to know what just happened. We are on the same 29th verse. Every question will come from verse 29 only. It's not coming from anywhere else. What is he seeing that he does not destroy the self?
Looking beyond or overlooking the same way as you said, you would the same way that you would see your own child and overlook and
We're
find
back to
it.
relationship only.
Yeah.
Somehow this is being only about humans for you. Okay, Jai Shri, very good. You have expanded your vision. You're seeing beyond, like Malti says. You have been able to see something beyond the immediate. Because you have a long-term vision, extending all the way unto the self. So as much as you can expand that, to that extent, you will not be carried away by the immediate, which is an emotional reaction to things. Even in work, it's not just relationships, Malti. Even in work, people do the work they like to do.
Yes.
They do it because they're pressurized to do that work. They don't think it through to the end. Okay, I'm doing this, so then that, and then that, and then that. No, it'll be like, okay, this is great, let's go do it. Can't do that. Very, very, very measured steps in everything, whether it's work, whether it's enjoyments. Even enjoyments have to be measured. You have to decide how much you're going to do, how much you're not going to do. What is that level which is correct for you? In everything, even in exercise, you have to do that. Even if you go to design a house, you have to do that. Because the first question the designer will ask you is, anything you're doing is the same basic principle. When you go to a designer, you say, I want to do up my house. What is the first thing they'll ask you? Or my premises. What is the first thing they will ask you?
What's your
Budget.
budget?
Budget.
Your budget. What are you using these premises for? What is the point? I mean, like, is this going to be a bedroom? Is this going to be an office? What is it supposed to do? What's its job? So the first thing you got to fix in your head is, what is it you're trying to do? And if you can push this, what I'm trying to do, for a long time, it's a great thing. Is it clear or not? Because you're never answered and never sure whether it's clear or not. Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
So one who can see, who can stretch his vision, who makes an attempt, a conscious attempt to expand his vision, he does not destroy the self by himself.
That's right. And then he reaches the self.
And then he reaches the self.
Because you're not wrecking what you have, you can make your way towards the final goal. At the moment, we're wrecking what we have. It's like, if I have a body, I manage somehow to wreck it. If I have a relationship, I will wreck it. If I have a mind, I will wreck that also. Everything I'm wrecking on. So at every stage, every step of the way, when I use my intellect, I'm not destroying anything, because I'm seeing the full picture. Right? And I am about to open my mouth to speak. Do I know what I'm trying to do here? If I know what I'm trying to do, I'll do it better, no? So it's a long thing. Now Mahesh sends out emails every week. Suppose he says, I love to send an email about, I don't know, about class. But you can't send an email about class. You have to think what is happening. Next week, these things are happening. Therefore, we're sending an email to people about this. Random, you can't do anything in life, right? You have to work back from what you're trying to do. Momita, Kalidas' story of hacking the branch he's sitting on is about this, destroying the self. Yes, allegorically it can be taken as that. The story itself is only trying to communicate probably how stupid he was. Because, he was so stupid that he used to do things like this. And then when his wife was really horrible to him and said, just get out from here, he had a sort of wake-up call, and then he worshipped Saraswati, and then, so basically, if you take it like that you're such an idiot, which you could say as destroying the self, and then somebody has just finished you off so badly that it's a wake-up call. Then you can worship Saraswati. And then Saraswati is supposed to rest on his tongue, right? So, yeah. Bharat. Improvement in all aspects of a personality serves as a yardstick of vision expansion. Improvement in all aspects of the personality serves as a yardstick of vision expansion. I guess you could say that, because that is the most probable result. But the yardstick of vision expansion should be, how much do I genuinely feel concerned about, right? I mean, if my intellect really sees that much, then my mind will have concern for it. So the yardstick has to be that I do have that concern for, I think. But you could take improvement in all aspects. But it's a little more difficult to take that, because, okay, in Vedanta, this will probably happen, but let's say Mahatma Gandhi, right? Suppose I put Mahatma Gandhi next to you, and you will say, see, Mahatma Gandhi has not improved in every circumstance. Look at his body, look at my body. And then you'll say, I'm better than Mahatma Gandhi. Now, we will not probably accept that, right? So I'm not sure you can take that as a universal yardstick. In Vedanta, that tends to happen, but not universal. Okay?
Sorry, concern as in you mentioned concern.
Hmm. So,
What do we mean by that?
what should I say? That you really care what happens. See, now you're doing karma yoga. If your vision is for human beings to understand Vedanta or develop their lives through it, then when push comes to shove, then the concern for Vedanta will drive your actions. Like Mahesh, for instance, for the last almost 20 years, how many years? I don't know, I don't remember how many. He's been sending out an email every Saturday. Okay. He has been unwell, he has met different situations in his life, all sorts of things have happened. But that email went out every Saturday. And that kind of discipline comes only because of the concern that this should actually happen. Otherwise, you'll easily say, no, this week I'm busy, this week this happened, this week that happened. How has he managed to maintain that consistency? Because when your intellect understands something, your mind feels dedicated to it, concerned about it. You don't want to drop the ball. Okay?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Yes, Omkar.
Jankiji, in this verse, expansion of the vision, if I take the opposite of that, as contraction of the vision leads to destruction of the personality, and juxtapose that in the ladder of fall chart, and let's say I start at the level of desire, anger, delusion, confusion of memory, loss of intellect, and total destruction. Why don't I see contraction of vision anywhere in this chart? Of course, there's loss of intellect, but the contraction of vision.
No, but you definitely see the end result, destruction of the self. Buddhi nasha pranashrati.
Yes, so that's the ultimate that happens. So what I'm
You're
saying
saying
is,
where is the contraction, right?
yeah, contraction
First
of vision
step,
is not specifically mentioned in the ladder of fall.
but
Why?
first step is talking about it, no? First step, dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. A person thinks of an object. Sangaste upajayate. Sanga upajayate. For him, Sanga is born. This is all the immediate, right? Actually, it's a good juxtaposition. You shouldn't do these things because it's only confusing, but it is a good juxtaposition because just the opposite. Instead of seeing the self, dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. He says one object. He says vishayan, objects. He sees, oh, I like this, I don't like this. And his mind travels down that line. I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it. Then something interrupts you. All hell breaks loose. It is just the opposite. Contraction of vision means what? You're only able to see Vishaya. Vishaya means the objects which you want. I want to eat the gulab jamun. I want you to respect me. I want my proposal to go through. Whatever. I'm only seeing that immediate thing. That is contraction of vision.
No, true. That part I understood. What I'm not getting is in the ladder of fall, the entire sequence of events is very clearly mentioned. Let's say we start from desire, leading to anger, leading to delusion, leading to confusion of memory, loss of intellect, and total destruction of personality. So I'm saying total destruction of personality is the end result. Why is between, let's say, loss of intellect and total destruction of personality, contraction of vision not included in this ladder of fall? Because it seems to be a very important concept in this verse.
But in every verse, how can he use the same language? That verse is the opposite. What? Like Dhyayato Vishan. He thinks about only a Vishaya. Okay, he thinks about only objects. Then what happens to him? Here is he thinks about self. So what happens to him? It's the opposite. Why
No,
should
but ladder of fall is universal, right? I mean, it's universally applicable. It's like a formula that if a human is destroyed, this is the way he would be destroyed. So there is no mention of expansion or contraction of vision anywhere in that chart is my problem.
how can he use exactly the same words? He's shown what is the contraction of the vision. That you're only thinking of the immediate. This thing you want, and now all hell breaks loose. He's shown what it is. He's explained what it is. That is why he can make this statement now in chapter 13, because already explained the process. Why do you want him to use exactly the same words? Then why?
No,
will
not
you
him.
use the same
I'm
chapter?
saying this ladder of fall is something that is like a formula for us to understand things. So
No,
maybe
you're unnecessarily highlighting something in the Gita like that. Of everything is a formula. What about self-control? Is that not a formula? Just a few verses after ladder of fall, he gives the formula for self-control. The whole thing is formulas only. Previous verse, he gave us a formula. Every being is a combination of spirit and matter. You can't
Yes.
just pick up one thing and say that is it, the Gita. It's not just that. Okay.
Thanks.
So where are we? Seeing indeed the same Lord dwelling equally everywhere, he does not destroy the self by the self. He then reaches Tato Yati Param Gatam, the supreme self. That is why this applying spiritual knowledge in your daily life is so important. Now you will see here the Lord himself is saying, first you handle that, then you worry about Paramgatam. People want to keep their own personal lives a mess and then talk about the self. Pagal hai kya? I know people whose finances are a mess, relationships are a mess, health is a mess. In fact, somebody actually, really, I feel at a loss. Somebody phoned me and told me, firstly, I should stop taking these phone calls. That should be the moral of the story. This person phones me and says, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And my mind is very distracted. Give me sadhana by which I will control the mind. And I said, go handle all these problems. And they were not happy with my answer. They said, the person said to me, give me sadhana. When they're not happy with your answer, they repeat the question as if I'm going to change the answer because you're repeating the question. 5 times the person repeated the question. Then after that, I gave up because I'm not making anything. Then I just agree with people because mera sindhu log mat khao. 5 times, same thing I'm saying. You may disagree with the answer. That is fine. That is your prerogative. But by repeating the question, you're not getting a different answer. Actually, that person wants to know, how will I be peaceful with all these problems? And if you say, go solve the problems, that is the way you gain control over yourself, they will not be accepted. This answer is not accepted. The daily grind of doing the right thing. Please give sadhana of helping plant 1,000 trees. Bharat, wrong person is asking, but sadhana for everybody to plant the trees is 2 things. One is, please give Jayashi some funds so that she can buy the trees. And secondly, we can all go over there and physically dig that place so that she doesn't have to pay labor. We can all go there and we can all plant trees together. Right, Jayashi? We can come there and plant trees. No, yeah, at least we'll save on labor cost. So these are the
Janki,
plans.
where it is? Janki, where it is?
On the plot where we are building the university, it is off the Mumbai-Goa highway.
Okay.
Planting around a perimeter of 9,000 feet, I think. That day I went and I was walking around seeing the holes that we have dug to plant. We have dug means Jayashree is handling all this to put the or that fencing, because you can't plant until you fence. Otherwise, all the cows will come and say, "Arey, acha buffet hum logon ke liye rakha hua hai." So first you have to fence it. Then you can start planting trees. So I walked on that perimeter. Even walking on the perimeter is quite a lot, let me tell you. So if you're coming to dig, be warned. Anyway, so that's the sadhana bharat for planting the trees. But every day, step by step, are we going to do what we need to do? I am fighting with my husband and I say, oh, I'm going to sit in meditation and calm my mind. Pehle to you need to go for a jog and get some sense in your head. Oh, all my finances are in a big mess. But what is there in money? What is there in money? You go to the municipal hospital and get a cure, and then we'll find out what is there in money. You talk nonsense. I am going to go and be in the general ward of the municipal hospital with no hygiene, or as much hygiene as those poor people can manage. In India, it's not easy to maintain hygiene in the municipal hospital. You could just think of the number of people there. Sometimes they put 2 people on the bed. Sometimes they put patients on the floor, because where are they supposed to put them? Everybody's facilities are limited, right? And you go and do all this stuff. Where are the ward boys enough to clean the mess that the patients will create? How many can they employ? Go do that. Better than trying to live there is trying to figure out a way of making the poor patients' lives better. No, I can go there. It is so easy. Go try. Let there be prosperity for everybody. Let us not make everybody poor. That makes no sense. So when we are able to deal with every facet of life, and the reason we can deal with every facet of life is because
We can see the bigger picture.
Because our intellect works. Then when we are living life like that, we can make our way to Paramgati, to the Supreme Good. You cannot wish the flaws of the personality away. The reason we have all these problems is because the personality has some kind of flaw. And you have to deal with those flaws. Without purification, without intellectual direction, nothing is going to happen. You're only fooling yourself that you're on the spiritual. Then nobody wants to listen to this. What they want is acha thoda inspiration do about something higher. That is what they want. Because just the thought of the higher makes people feel good. So they don't want to do the real work in it. And not they, we are all like that. Just the thought makes us feel very good. So the question of the work is not good. I mean, that is incidental. Wo hoga, nahi hoga. Okay. So if we are able to do this, you see the Lord dwelling everywhere, or you see as much as you can. And do not destroy yourself by yourself. At least you don't mess up life. Because the intellect has been sharpened, because you're dealing with the various things, then slowly you gain control over the mind. Because you cannot deal with things until you have control over your own mind. You cannot control another human being until you can control your own mind. You cannot even achieve money, you cannot achieve anything in this world until you control your mind. And if you don't believe me, listen to people who have done these things. They've had control over themselves. You can't become Wimbledon champion unless you have control over your mind. So those who achieve things, they're sometimes doing better in the spiritual path than people like us. Yes, Deepraj?
So I have this confusion about controlling the mind. Controlling the mind basically, say I have a desire and that gets interrupted. Now I will naturally feel angry. In this scenario, controlling the mind would mean to not do any actions that will cause any harm, but I will still feel the anger.
Yes.
And
but-
in another scenario,
Yes.
if I feel too
It's
excited,
the most bottom level of controlling the mind. Okay, so I have a desire, my desire is interrupted and controlling my expression. This is the bottom level. Little higher than that is I have a desire. I have considered whether this desire is worth having or not. And then I have performed actions. Higher than that is I have a goal, and all my actions are going to lead to that goal. So control of the mind when you're seeking a goal has to always be higher. And now you cannot afford to do just what you feel. Why do most people not have goals in life? Because you can't. You can't do it unless you're willing to control your mind. That means you're willing to not function on likes and dislikes. You have to get a PhD, right? Every day you cannot feel like doing all your research, but you still do it. That is called control of the mind because there's a goal there. It's not only dealing with emotions that have come to us, it is actually directing our life to a positive end.
so in that case, because my intellect is now directed towards a higher goal, my mind will start to feel positively about that goal. And
May not, may or may not. May or may not. It will take some time for the mind to catch up with the intellect.
But the intellect is reshaping the mind. It is reducing the mind's attraction towards certain things and increasing the mind's attraction to other things.
Yes.
That is controlling the mind.
I can't hear you anymore. Your voice is cracked. But yes, it is reshaping the mind. That is correct. It is reshaping the mind and redirecting the actions.
And is reshaping the mind equal to controlling the mind?
Are you all there or gone?
We can hear him. We can hear him, yeah. Deepraj, you're okay.
Oh, you're here. Okay. All right. So I hope the answer was clear. The intellect will reshape the mind and direct the actions towards the goal. Now, so that's it for today. Bharat, yes, you have an announcement for us.
Yes, Hari Om everyone. So next Sunday, Janki ji will have a Zoom talk on a very interesting topic. The details are on your screen. So we'll be sharing the Zoom details. It will be the same as the normal class link. Please pass it ahead. Thank you.
Hari Om Janki ji, thank you.
Okay, great. So that is next Sunday, right? Yeah. And also, please, everybody who can help with the plantation, please do so. And of course, I have to talk about the retreat, right? So I'm hoping more and more of